to 31 Her, the podcast where we cultivate spiritual strength, timeless grace, and restored identity. I'm Lauren, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're folding laundry, commuting to work, or still in a quiet moment for yourself, this space is for you.
Welcome back to 31 Her, where we cultivate spiritual strength, timeless grace, and restored identity. I'm so glad you're here today because we're talking about something that might feel a little controversial at first, and that's reinventing yourself. Now, I know. Some of you might be thinking, okay, Lauren, reinventing yourself, identity crisis much? No. Isn't that superficial? Isn't that inauthentic? Shouldn't I be content with who I am as a person? I hear you, but here's what I need you to understand. Reinventing yourself is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about allowing you to become who you've always had the capacity to be because you were dimming your light. There is nothing wrong with looking at your life and saying, okay, this season is over and I'm ready for what's next. There is nothing shallow about that. I believe you are intentionally choosing to elevate yourself, elevate your mindset. And there is nothing selfish about pouring into yourself so deeply that when you come on the other side of this new season of your life, you're a better you. You're doing this from a place of overflow. You're not doing this from a place of depletion. Today, we're talking about how to reinvent yourself in a healthy, authentic, grounded way. We're talking about how to step into your next season as if you're already living it, because you are. The moment you make intentional moves to change the trajectory of your own life, you're doing something. That is the stuff of life. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, get cozy on your favorite place on the couch, and let's talk about the woman you are becoming. Can I be honest with you for a second? There have been multiple seasons in my life where I had this thought. Now I can say I was basically taking inventory of things that I was currently going through or went through in the past. And I thought, this isn't it anymore. This ain't it. I've outgrown this version of myself and I'm ready to move forward. Maybe it was the way I was showing up in my relationships, people pleasing, overgiving, saying yes when I meant no. Maybe it was the way I was talking to myself, that internal voice, harsh, critical, never really giving myself grace or anything like that. Maybe the routines that I was stuck in, thinking that I was being productive or, just get through the day. I was just holding on to this version of me and I was just performing because that was what was expected of me. I was kind of like living outside of myself. I wasn't living in alignment with who I actually was or who I wanted to become. And I'm actively still working on this. I was living in a reaction of who I used to be, what I'd been through, and the people who loved me, what I thought they would want of me. Maybe you exactly understand, maybe you know exactly where I'm coming from, but if you've been feeling that too, that restlessness, that quiet voice inside of you that says, there is more of you. I am ready to explore, the deeper parts of me, and I'm capable of more. I'm capable of showing up as my authentic self, and I just want to do away with living like, okay, here's how I think about it. Life to me is like the final play. This is not dress rehearsal. One of my very close friends, her daughter, hold on a second. One of my very close friends recently invited one of my very close friends recently invited me to her daughter's end of the year concert, and it's the Christmas Nutcracker. And from what I've understand over these past 10 plus years of our friendship, her daughter practices all year. She does these clinicals. She's in classical ballet, and she does these clinicals, and she, my friend is involved. They go to these, camps over the summer. Like she's like really invested, her and her daughter. And this has been for years. And at the end of the year, they have this amazing holiday concert where they just, put on a show for the community, a ballet show for the community. I don't know what that's called, but they open their doors to the community and they perform in a theater, and they do really well. And it's like the culmination of all their skill sets. They get to show it off at this end of the season show, because they have one in the spring. But that kind of clicked in my mind one day after we saw it. It was just like, life is not a dress rehearsal. Life is not, we get to come back and practice this. So metaphorically, think of life as that end of the year concert. She had dress rehearsal. She had, regular rehearsal where they just had to, show up in their normal ballet outfits. They had to practice for this big concert, and, they don't put on, they don't, these same emotions that they do when they're on stage. So that's how I think people live life. They live life like it's dress rehearsal. Like, I have another chance to really do this and then show up and be my real self and be that main character. I hate to say that, but be that character that I've been practicing this whole time to be. And I'm not saying you're living superficially, but I'm just saying, like, life is the end of the year concert. The day that you're born, we know what happened that day. Then there's this dash of you living your life. And that should be the most colorful, fulfilled, joyful story ever told. And then one day you die. And what really matters is the dash of life. What's happening in the in between of living and dying? Are you living all out? And I hate to use these dance and cheerleading references, but I was a cheerleader. But are you going all out? Are you living life as if this is not dress rehearsal? This is the end of the year holiday concert. So that's how this episode came to me. Are we living life like it's a dress rehearsal? Like we're going to get another chance to show up and be the best version of ourselves? Or are we just going to go along with, okay, I know I just have to get through this rehearsal. I just have to get through this day just so I can just, continue to live as long as I'm just living life? Or are we just going to show up and just be you, not dimming your light? This is your moment on the stage of life to just live all out. Are you? Are you going to do that? Are you going to take those chances? Are you going to not just take those chances? How do I say this? I also saw a clip of a video of 3 black women, and they're at the beach and they're walking on the street, and this guy approaches them and he says, hey, we're teaching surf lessons. Do you want to learn how to surf today? And she said, no, I'm not a good swimmer. I don't even know how to swim. I definitely will never learn how to surf. And her friends were just like, they were on the fence. And over time, he was able to convince this group of 3 friends to just, do something different. You're on a trip to, let's say, Miami. You probably never plan to go surfing on this trip, but just try it. I just want to teach you, and it's for free. And throughout the clip, you see gradually these women, they're nervous and they're getting on the surfboards and they're just like, oh, I don't know how to swim. And over time, they were, crouching like on their all fours on the surfboard. Then they were on their feet on the surfboard really low. And then by the end of the clip, the guy that was recording from the surf company showed them surfing, all three women, when hours before they probably never had the idea of even doing that. And that's what I mean about living all out. Are you going to take those moments of life, those really amazing moments in life, and do something different and go off the unbeaten path and do it scared, or try a new life experiences that you probably wouldn't have done? You just said, hey, let me just try it out. I want to do something different. Are we going to do that? That's the message I'm trying to convey. Are you going to live your life on this same path that you're on, and you're living outside of yourself? You're not living a colorful version of the dash in life. You're just making it through the end of the day. And some days, I get it. It calls for that. But there are moments in our life where I just believe we think like, man, this can't be it. Are you making the dash in your life colorful and full? Are you fulfilled? Are you happy? Are you trying to explore something different than what you were probably taught culturally, or in your familiar background? Oh, this is just what we do. Why not go hiking? It doesn't have to be anything elaborate like surfing, anything exaggerated like that, but hiking or embroidery. Take an embroidery class. Just explore those quirky, fun, safe parts of just being curious about what is life like outside of my bubble. What could I do that could enrich my life in a healthy way that I wouldn't normally try? And then I know you got the weirdos out there. Yeah, I'll do something weird, strange for a piece of change. No, I'm talking about take a pottery class. Take a hike. Literally, go get off social media and go outside and just go for a hike. My husband kind of introduced me to like doing outdoorsy things when we had our first child, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to go outside, mosquitoes, my God. But over time, especially during the summer and spring, I grew to love this. Like, I couldn't wait to get outside and just go take a walk and get some fresh air. The weather's great, it's warm, the sun is shining, the grass, the trees, everything is just green and lush. I need to get out the house. I need to do something different. I need to go for a walk. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. Just break the monotony and try something different. Try a unique experience that's healthy and that's not wild and crazy. And see how that opens your mind to maybe parts of yourself that you didn't know existed, or you were afraid to search and discover because you were holding yourself back from self-doubt or whatever reason, scrutiny, being picked on, or shamed for doing something that, pottery, why would you do that? Things like that. Once upon a time, painting sip classes were probably considered lame, but pre-pandemic, that was a thing to do. It was a time. So we never know how certain things can enrich our life. And I hope I'm conveying that message clearly, but yeah, I just had that memory of my friend's daughter having her end of the year holiday concert, and how proud they were of the progress that they made and how well they danced, and they looked like, I practiced all season to cast in this show and I'm gonna go all out. How many of us are living life like it's dress rehearsal and it's not the holiday concert? It's not the end of the year, showcase of just, hey, like, I've been practicing, I'm ready for this moment. Are you living life like you're gonna have another chance to live? Because you won't. So I know I went off on a tangent, but yeah. But when that doubt creeps in and you're thinking, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. Who am I to want more? I should be grateful for what I have. People would think I've changed. People would think they're bougie. I'm bougie. That's what my family thinks about me. They think, oh, you bougie, you've changed. Or simply, what if it's just you? What if I fail? What if I invest all this time and energy into becoming someone new and it doesn't work out? I look crazy. I am doing this and I end up going left, okay? So you stay stuck. You stay small. You keep dimming your light. You keep showing up as the version of you that feels safe and familiar and predictable and smiley, even though you're suffocating under all of that, you know? And yeah, I want you to know that you are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself that you just no longer want to be. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to reinvent yourself as many times as it takes to fully feel alive, to feel fulfilled. And no, it isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's not about being fake. It's about chasing the real you and letting that person light shine. It's about molding yourself into who you want to be and peeling back those layers of you that you thought you had to be and rediscovering who you really are underneath all the conditioning and the trauma and the societal expectations that people have put on you. Reinvention, when done right, is it's not about to me it's not about abandoning yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's saying, I've learned, you know, I've grown, I've healed, I've done the work, and now I'm just ready to live as the woman that I am becoming. And I no longer want to be the woman that I used to be. And I'm also speaking to myself. And nobody tells you the moment you decide to reinvent yourself, to be a better version of yourself, you're already living in your next season. You don't have to wait until you have arrived or until everything is perfect and everything is right as it should be in the world. The intentional steps to me starts the day you start to make change and change the trajectory of your life. And that elevation that you're seeking is already in you. You just have to just see the you have to see the power and the goodness that is within yourself and the worth that is within yourself and say, hey, I can do this. I deserve this. And I don't have to hide behind society or familial expectations. I hope I'm saying that right.
Thank you so much for being here today. But before you go, do me a favor. Screenshot this episode and share it in your Instagram stories. Tag me at 31her_podcast so I can see you and repost you too. Your shares are how